You know, as I begin, I want to just remind you of the last part of that introduction. My job is to tell you what you need to hear, what you want to, not what you want to hear. If you are a Republican or a conservative, you better be ready for a pretty rocky 2026. People are talking about some of these issues like affordability. I'm not sure the message has sunk in as deeply as it should. About 6 weeks ago, 31% of voters told us that their personal finances were getting better, and 31% said they were getting worse. That's even, that's not a terrible number, and it was a whole lot better than the economic pessimism that existed during the Biden administration. About a month ago, as the shutdown began to impact people and they became frustrated with the incompetence in Washington, people's economic optimism just fell off a cliff. As of yesterday, our polling found that only 26% of voters say their finances are getting better. 10 points more, 36% say it's getting worse. Those numbers are about like they were in the Biden era. Now, to put that in political terms, what that means is if these numbers don't change by next November, several state legislatures that are currently held by Republicans will be in the Democratic column. The Democrats will win control of the House decisively, and they might have a shot at winning the U.S. Senate. That's how bad the economic perceptions are right now. It is not a messaging problem because people are feeling this experience. When they see that their neighbors can't sell a house, they're concerned. When you talk about affordability, it's not a question of numbers. It's a sense that something has gone wrong. And the danger in that is it can become self-fulfilling. Now, the good news is the election is not going to be held anytime soon. If the economy is feeling better next year, if things have turned around, then there will be a different result. But here's the kicker. When bad news happens, when people got frustrated with the shutdown, confidence falls immediately. When good things begin to happen, it takes about 6 months before people begin to feel positive again. So what happens in the U.S. economy between now and the middle of next year is going to define the midterms. Having said all that, I'm an optimist. I believe America's best days are still to come. I believe that regardless of what happens in next November's election. One of the reasons I'm an optimist is we do a lot of basic research. We've taken on a new project this last year called the We the People Project, where we are measuring public attitudes, what people think about America as we approach our 250th birthday. What is it that people actually look at? What does it mean to be an American? That's a theme that we should all tap into because in our research, we found that we had 5 people from every congressional district take part in this national conversation. About 7% reject the core ideals of freedom and equality. Some reject it from the left with the 1619 model. Some reject it from the right. They're not ready to say that all men are created equal. Those voices and the dangerous, angry voices we hear around us in the nation today are a very small minority. We need to lift up the common ground of those ideals of freedom, equality, and self-governance. We need to tap into the things that hold us together. And I think we also, when we do that, need to talk about it not as if it was a bunch of guys in powdered wigs sitting around and thinking up something new, or a bunch of academics who figured out the best way to make something happen. It was practical experience. And as we do that, we need to connect the stories of our history with the stories of America today. So when we just heard a little bit ago about the Black Pastors United for Education, we were told that politics should never stand in the way of educating our children. It's a great message. If you went back to 1636, and I was not polling back then, but in 1636, the colonists had fled England because of a religious dispute. They decided they should start a college. They had some Oxford men with them. Obviously a good goal, but in 1636, it was against the law to form any organization without permission from the king. If the colonists had asked permission from the king, he would have said, yes, you can start your school if you teach my theology, the theology that you just fled across the Atlantic to get away from. Those colonists did something different. They decided forgiveness was better than getting permission. They started a college without asking the king about it. The king got caught up in a civil war and actually physically lost his head. And so Harvard was created out of this experience. It was an illegal university. But once people in the colonies realized you could start a college without permission, they realized we could start a school without permission at any level. We could start an abolition society. We can start an anti-poverty society. This heritage grew into our founding ideals of freedom, equality, and self-governance. It wasn't something that was created at the Miracle at Philadelphia. It was something that grew out of a century and a half of experience. We, for the last 250 years, have been continuing that. We see this reflected in all kinds of ways in our society. The things that we do today would have been unheard of. But where we also see it is in the work that we're finding when we research the American people. Because you know what? Very few Americans today talk like Thomas Jefferson. It's just not our style. But at the We the People Project, we went out and asked people to answer long-form questions about what it was that freedom meant to them. And guess what? The ideals that shine through from thousands of people in 1.6 million words of context are the exact same ideals that our nation was founded on. We, as we sell our messages, need to stop talking about what it does for you as an individual. We want to talk about the policies are good for you and your neighbors. They will create stronger communities. And yes, we need to tie all of our policy ideas back to those core founding ideals. If we can do that, we will get rid of a lot of the political toxicity, and we'll have all done our part to ensure that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. Thank you very much.